In this video, I will help you know all available options to go to Canada. Canada has many visa types, but there are 4 main types and I will give you an overview so you can choose what kind of visa will help you enter Canada. I will also share the best mobile app that you can use anywhere to understand them better. And by the way, this YouTube channel is about visa processes, such as how to start your application, what are the requirements, what to do during the process, how to pass your visa medical exam, and basically everything you need to know about Canada visa processes. So if you are new to my channel, please hit like, subscribe, and hit that bell button for you to get automatic updates about Canada visa. So let's get started after this intro. Okay, so let's start. I love Canada. So first website is go directly. Punta muna kayo sa canada.ca. So this is the official website of Canada. It's again www.canada.ca. I will put the link in the description box of this video so you can check them later on. So there are 4 major types of visa in Canada. These are visit, immigrate, work, and study. Now, you can click these links and it will surely give you the information. But I'll introduce you to a second website. We will go back to this one later on. Go to visaguide.world. So again, that's www.visaguide.world. Lagay ko din yung description nito or yung website na to sa box ng video na to. So here, meron silang visitor visa, student visa, work, permanent residence, business immigrant, and express entry program visa. So here, they will give you the descriptions. First, tatalakayin natin kung ano yung temporary Canada visa, no? So this is for people na gusto mag-tour or gusto mag-stay sa Canada for 6 months or less. Okay? Or ito rin yung mga gustong mag-business sa Canada. As long as it's 6 months, hindi siya lalampas doon. This is called temporary Canada visa. Except for super visa. Let me explain you what is that. Unahin muna natin si tourist visa. First question is, pag nasa temporary visa ka ba, pwede ka bang magtrabaho? Pwede ka bang mag-aral? The answer is yes. You just have to choose the right kind of temporary visa. And let's go over that right now. So, yeah, first, tourist visa. Again, ito yung para sa mga pasyal-pasyal. Pwede niyong bisitahin yung mga kaibigan niyo doon, family, relatives, vacation, holidays. So, yan yung tourist visa. Super visa is, ito yung para sa mga magulang natin, sa mga grandparents as well. For example, if PR ka na, ibig sabihin, if may permanent resident visa ka na sa Canada, pwede mong sponsoran yung mama mo, yung tatay mo, yung grandparents mo para pumunta sa Canada and stay there with you using the super visa. So, for the time frame naman, they are given 2 years, but that is extendable every 2 years. Okay? So, next is diplomatic and official visa. Ito naman yung para sa mga opisyal. For example, presidents, senators, prime ministers. Pwede silang pumasok ng Canada gamit yung visa na to. They are privileged to use this kind of visa. Courtesy visa naman is parehas lang din sa diplomatic. As long as may position ka sa trade missions or diplomats, with a touristic intent, then you are given a courtesy visa. So, di ba? Social pag politiko ka, may mga ganito ka. Next is business visa if may plano kang mag-business sa Canada. Mamaya, pag pumunta na tayo sa mobile app, tatalakayin natin to or pakita ko yung overview. And then next, visa to give birth in Canada. Very sikat to, no, sa mga artista kasi ginagamit nila to para makakuha ng automatic Canadian citizenship yung baby nila. Kasi once manganak ka sa Canada, yung baby mo is automatic na Canadian na. Ang downside lang nito is that you are not entitled to get any health care benefits sa Canada.
Babayaran mo lahat na expenses mo dun.
So, para ka lang talagang turista. It's just that buntis ka at gusto mong manganak sa Canada. Kaya kung gusto mong yung baby mo automatic Canadian na, di manganak ka sa Canada, di ba? Next is intending organ donor visa. So this is for people who are very noble to donate their organs for free. Hindi mo pwedeng ibenta yung organs mo. This is again, sa title niya, intending organ donors. This is a donation. This just requires intensive medical checkup because they have to make sure that your organs are compatible to the receiver. So, may ganun din, no? Kung gusto mong tumulong ng tao sa Canada, pag kailangan nila ng organ, pwede kang magkaroon ng visa. Okay, moving on. Facilitation visa. Ito naman ay applicable sa mga taong dalawa yung citizenship. Canadian citizenship plus, for example, Filipino citizenship. So, dapat may dalawa siyang passport, di ba? It's just that things happen at nawala niya yung Canadian passport niya. Tapos papasok siya sa Canada using his Philippine passport. Magiging parang Pinoy din siya na kailangan niyang kumuha ng visa para pumasok sa Canada. So they are given the privilege to use facilitation visa. Yun is if hindi sila naka-apply ng passport tapos emergency yung reason nila kaya sila pupunta ng Canada, they are given this kind of visa. Student visa, this is a very hot topic, no? And I will tell you why. But first, a student visa is given to those who have an admission from a Canadian university to complete their studies. So if you're going to Canada to study for less than 6 months, then you can get only the temporary visa. But for more than 6 months of studies, you will need a student visa. The reason why many people love this visa is because of Canada's generous immigration policy na nag-aalaw sa mga international students to bring his or her spouse and their kids to accompany them in Canada to work and study.
Meaning, pwede mong makuha yung asawa at anak mo para samahan ka sa Canada.
You as a student, you can work while you are studying. Plus, yung asawa mo, pwede ring magtrabaho sa Canada. Diba? Amazing lang, like super amazing. But today, we're just really doing an overview because it can be confusing if I'll tell you the whole information all at once. Each visas have different steps, eligibility, time frame, and processes. So, nakakalito kung sasabihin ko lahat kung anong gagawin mo para pumasa dito sa student visa. I will make separate videos discussing each one. And don't worry, because I will tell you all the information that you will need once you want to get a student visa. So for now, just familiarize yourself sa mga tawag sa mga visa at kung ano yung mga yon. And then once you're decided what type of visa works for you, we will discuss that in a separate video. Okay? So don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell para ma-update kayo agad-agad pag natapos ko na yung mga videos na yun. Alright? So moving on, temporary work visa. Ito naman is if you have a job offer sa Canada na only good for 6 months, then this is for you. Temporary residence visa. Ito naman is that if you have workshop or trainings na only good for 2 weeks, they will give you this temporary resident permit. Working holiday visa. Medyo mahirap kunin to for students because Canada will choose from 30 countries kung sino i-approve nila. Tapos napaka-random pa yung selection. Sa mga estudyante na gustong mag-apply ng work permit, yung mga internship, mga ganun, yun yung working holiday visa. And like I said, medyo mahirap kasi nga, it's a big game of probability kasi they are choosing from 30 countries. Imagine pa kung ilan kayong aplikante in one country, di ba? So, yun. Next naman, so tapos na tayo no, sa temporary visa. Next is permanent Canada visa. Okay, first type is immigrant investor program. So this is if you want to be an investor sa Canada. Ang requirement is that you have at least 800,000 pesos. $800,000. So that's actually 30 million. $800,000 times 38 pesos. Yeah, 30 million and 400,000. Yun dapat yung net worth mo para mag-conduct ng business or investor program in Canada, and you will be given permanent residency visa. So, kailangan mo daw mag-invest ng $400,000. Ganun. Startup visa naman is for people who will be individually involved in contributing sa economy ng Canada. Ang net worth mo naman daw, kailangan is $300,000. Magkano ba yun? $300,000 times 38 pesos, 11 million. Okay. Tapos, next is self-employed person's visa. Dito, hindi applicable yung ginagawa natin ng mga YouTuber.
May specified dito na kinds of businesses.
Tapos, kaya nilang mag-finance ng business and as well magpatakbo ng business. Next is Quebec Selected Skilled Worker. Ito, mas complicated yung Quebec kasi it's like a country inside a country. So, Quebec is inside Canada. The thing is that ibang-iba naman yung rules doon. Tsaka, this is where yung mga French people are nag-stay. So, mostly, yung mga tao doon are French-speaking people. Next is family sponsorship visa.
Ito yung pag may PR ka na, automatic PR na rin yung asawa tsaka anak mo.
And next is live-in caregiver program. Alam niyo kung bakit nagawan to ng sariling visa? Kasi sa Canada is very in-demand talaga yung healthcare services. Especially caregiver kasi ang daming tumatanda doon na walang nag-aalaga. Alam niyo naman sa western country, di ba? Once 18 years old na yung tao, meron na silang sariling buhay. So, usually yung mga matatanda na iiwan sa mga home for the aged, mga ganun. So, nakakailangan yung Canada for caregivers to take care of elderly, disabled people, or children and live in a private home in Canada. Next is, isa to sa pinaka-hot topic din, express entry visa, wherein you can enter Canada if you have these certain skills. So first one is the Federal Skilled Trades Program. Pag karpintero ka, if you are good in aircraft mechanics, crane operations, heavy-duty equipment mechanics, electricians, machinists, iron workers, welders, plumbers, then you can get this visa. Dito lang sa Express Visa, this allows people to submit their profile of their skills, education, and employment history to gain points through a specific calculator designed by Canada. So the one who gets the highest score obviously will have the biggest chance to enter Canada. Express entry will also allow a skilled worker to immigrate in Canada and work there while on the path of getting citizenship din. Ang mahirap lang dito is about, yun nga, score. Yung scores mo, magdedepende sa skills mo, sa education, and employment history. Same lang din to pag nag-a-apply ka sa mga hospitals, kaya dito sa Pinas. Pag nag-submit ka ng, let's say for example, if you have bachelor's degree, may certain points yun, like 10 points. Pag high school graduate ka, 2 points, may pointing system siya. So you can enter Canada. Next, if wala naman dito yung skills mo, meron din naman silang Federal Skilled Worker Program. So hindi lang naman yun yung hinahanap ng Canada. They're also looking for people who have professions which are required in Canada. So, i-check mo lang kung ano yung mga klase ng occupations na yun by the time that you apply para alam mo kung patok yung course mo or yung skill mo sa hinahanap ng Canada. Okay? Next is provincial nomination programs. Malayong mas madali ito kasi wala siyang pointing system. The difference lang is sa title niya mismo, provincial, ito yung mga provinces sa Canada na nagkukulang ng tao. Kasi wala masyadong may gusto sa mga provinces. Kasi very limited yung options doon. Tapos sobrang lamig. Gaya ng Yukon Territory, sobrang lamig doon kasi katabi lang siya ng Alaska. Konti yung may gusto doon kasi hindi nila kinakaya yung lamig. Kaya mas madaling maka-enter ng Canada if you use provincial nomination programs. Kailangan mo lang talagang maghanap ng direct employer and then pwede ka nang mag-apply dito. Ito yung ginamit ng asawa ko para maka-enter ng Canada. Tsaka napakaganda dito. In just 1 year, nakuha na niya yung permanent residency visa niya.
Wow! Wow!
Sa mga taong nakakuha na ng permanent residency, pwede na nilang tawagin yung asawa nila. At pagkapasok ng asawa nila, PR na rin sila. Permanent resident na rin sila. Hindi nila kailangang mag-undergo ng mga pointing system, ng mga kung ano-ano na, yung mga starter visa talaga, hindi na nila kailangan yun. Parang damayan na lang to sa visa, no? Pag PR na yung asawa mo, PR ka na rin. PR na rin yung anak mo. Kaya, I'm just really thankful na Canada has this kind of option. Kasi it's a piece of cake na lang once na mag-a-apply ka na bilang asawa. So kaya sinasabi ko nga napakaswerte ko talaga kasi yung asawa ko is PR na. But of course, it's not just about visa. But napakaswerte ko because of his love. And he's just the best person I've ever met. Sobra.
I believe I can fly.
I thank God that we have this kind of visa. Kasi napakahirap talagang mahiwalay sa asawa mo eh. It's just a drastic thing one could ever experience. So for Canada, thank you. And para sa inyo, for your future references, pag may PR na kayo sa Canada, pwede nyong tawagin yung asawa nyo, yung anak nyo, at automatic PR na rin sila. And by the way, katatapos ko lang yung medical test required by IRCC. And yay! Sobrang tuwa ako kasi pumasa ako. And this was me doing some recommendations kung paano ipasa yung medical test. Kasi actually, madaming nag-fail dito because of TB. Or minsan, may konting dot-dot lang sa x-ray mo. Mag-undergo ka na ng sputum test. Diba? Madidelay ka kasi yung iba, iba-iba kasi yung time frame na nabasa ko online and I cannot speak using my experience kasi nga pasado ako. Pero for other people that I have watched, na delay sila ng 2 weeks, 2 months, 6 months just because of medications once na may na-detect. And yung mga sakit na bawal doon is cancer, TB, pneumonia. Actually, ang dami. That's why I'll be creating a separate video about that one for you to pass it. Yung talagang sure ball na papasa kayo. Okay? Nagkwento na, no? But yeah, I'll make sure that I'll help you to pass that one. Okay? Alright. So, next naman, Canadian Experience Class. So, this is given to those who have a temporary student visa or a temporary worker's visa and want to switch to a permanent resident status. So, para tong stepping, pag patapos na yung student visa mo, yung temporary student visa mo, or temporary workers visa mo, pwede ka mabigyan ng Canadian Experience Class para makukuha ng PR. Hindi na siya common talaga. So those are the visa types that are available from this website. Ang kagandahan kasi dito, mas layman terms yung pagkaka-explain compared sa website mismo ng Canada. But here, may mga visa pa ako i-introduce sa inyo kasi hindi kompleto dun. Yung mga hindi common. But for you to be educated, no, for your future references, I will discuss them. So tapos na tayo sa express entry. So ganyan yung may pointing system. Family sponsorship naman. Yan yung para sa asawa, sa mga magulang, anak. Ganun. Provincial nominees, ito yung mga probinsya na nagkukulang ng tao. Examples dito are Alberta, British Columbia, Northwest Territories, Nova Scotia, Ontario. Tapos kung nasaan yung asawa ko, in Whitehorse, Yukon Territory. So doon siya. Na-discuss din natin yung Quebec. So mostly yung mga French speakers yung mga nandyan. Ito, Atlantic Immigration Pilot. Medyo hindi rin to common, but this might help you. This helps employers in Atlantic Canada to hire skilled workers who wants to migrate in Canada, including international graduates who want to study in Atlantic areas. Pag sinabi natin Atlantic areas, para din lang tong provincial areas. Pero ito yung mga island. Ito yung bagay sa mga marines, sa mga fishermen. Kasi dito talaga yung mga dagat. Medyo isolated din siya. Pero madami nag-enjoy doon kasi daming lobster, daming seafood. Yung magsasawa ka talaga ng mga seafood. So yan siya. Yan yung Atlantic Immigration Pilot. Next, caregiver. Na-discuss natin yan. Startup visa. Yun is yung kung mag-start ka ng business in Canada. Tapos mag-hire ka ng mga tao to work sa business mo. Yan yung startup visa. Self-employed, as we mentioned, hindi pwede dito yung mga small-time self-employed. Usually, kailangan related siya sa cultural or athletic activities ng Canada. Etong rural and northern immigration pilot naman is, eto yung mga nagsusupport ng mga small communities, no? Last year lang to nagsimula, 2019. These are smaller Canadian communities supporting their local economy through immigration or through getting people. Next is agri-food immigration pilot. Ito naman is for people who can help Canada agri-food sectors such as mushroom, greenhouse crop production, meat processing, mga karne, livestock, and raising industries. In demand din talaga yung mga trabahong to sa Canada kasi usually yung mga trabaho sa Canada, yung mga taga doon, yung mga gusto nilang trabaho is yung mga nasa office, yung mga nasa corporate worlds. Kaya matataas din talaga yung sahod ng mga skills na ganito. Kasi yun nga, very few lang talaga yung pumapasok sa mga careers na pang agri-food ng Canada. Eto, refugees naman. This is for people who are in fear of persecution or if you are in danger, if you return to your home. And that's why I really love Canada kasi it's recognized around the world for its leadership in offering a safe haven to people who need refugee protection. For example na lang, eto yung mga tao from Syria, Afghanistan, tsaka South Sudan. They also have specific protection for LGBT refugees. I have a great compassion sa mga kapatid natin, no, na LGBT. Kasi sila talaga yung nakaka-experience ng excessive abuse tsaka discrimination everywhere. Ang mahirap kasi dito, no, nagiging God kasi tayo na nagja-judge tayo ng tao where in fact wala tayong karapatang mag-judge sa mga bakla tsaka tomboy. Oo, sinasabi ng Bible na bawal mag-judge. I mean, bawal ang bakla at tomboy kasi lalaki at babae lang ang ginawa niya. But this does not give us the right to judge them kasi nga hindi tayo si God to judge them. Gagawa ko ng video kasi naaawa talaga ako sa mga refugees tsaka sa mga kapatid nating LGBT, and I want them to be aware of their option to go to Canada to have protection from these kinds of discriminations and yun nga, threats, abuse. Kaya, ayun, naimo na si Lola, no? Okay, balik tayo. Ngayon, I will be introducing you to the app.